he got in his car and just drove out the road.
What the hell are you breathing it in?
The fire damage was so severe, identifying the cause of the blaze proved impossible.
Oh, it's heinous.
There seems to be no apparent reason why that it would catch fire.
It was an accident.
Investigators suspected an electrical fault was to blame.
Yeah.
Bullshit. It doesn't add up.
Police found no evidence of foul play.
Blake was such an easygoing guy.
Things like that don't happen every day.
It doesn't add up.
The coroner said the cause of the fire would remain a mystery and the case was closed.
Everyone said your worst nightmare, and it is.
Blake Stott's grieving family want answers. They've approached Sensing Murder for help.
There's a question mark.
So many question marks.
Tonight, two gifted psychics will attempt to unravel the mystery of Blake's death.
There's something about his car.
And answer the questions police never could.
It's giving me the big...
Why was Blake parked up in the middle of nowhere?
I've always thought it suspicious.
What the hell has gone wrong?
What caused his car to catch alight?
It's a late model vehicle.
3 people know about this.
Was it a problem with the car? Were others involved? Was it murder? Owaka, population 500, is a typical country town in New Zealand's deep south. There's a main street, a pub, a rugby club, and thousands of hectares of farmland. 40 minutes drive from Owaka is the Tahakopa Valley, where Martin and Adrian Stott run a deer and cattle farm. Their eldest and only son, Blake, was to be the 4th generation to run the family farm.
Yeah, my grandfather, they came down here and started developing the farm. And then my father, he came down. I've lived here all my life. And we've just carried on with that. And that was the intention that Blake carried on too.
He enjoyed life here on the farm, fishing, hunting, whitebaiting, getting wet, getting dirty, falling out of trees. He loved his animals as well. We had cats and dogs, and he would catch rabbits and they would become pets, and everything was a pet. Just a general boy, always dirty. Out.
Blake attended primary school with just 12 other pupils. When he was a teenager, his parents sent him to boarding school at Otago Boys High in the closest city, Dunedin. He returned to the farm most weekends.
It was his love. He wanted to come back to the farm. That was his goal.
Always the joker, Blake took great pleasure in winding up his best mate Critter and younger sister Libby.
He would come in, I'd just made my bed, he'd wreck it. When I'm watching a movie, take my remote control.
Yeah, he was delighted in tormenting her.
Oi, get off.
To the point where it got quite frustrating at times.
It would either be we'd be fighting or we'd gang up against someone, like Critter.
He was into the big-time American bullshit wrestling sort of thing, and I'm only a wee fella, so he could overpower me quite easily, but I knew a couple of wee tricks that could get him.
He was really vain. He was so vain. He was always, checking his muscles. Wait, punch my stomach, feel my abs. Yeah, he was full on.
He had a cheeky grin. I guess he got away with a lot with that smile.
When he left school, Blake went flatting in Dunedin and started an apprenticeship with Fulton Hogan. He specialised in driving heavy machinery. Every weekend, Blake returned home to Tahakopa to work on the farm, go hunting and play rugby for the local Owaka team.
Yeah, Blake fitted into the team really well. He's one of the young guys. He's got a great sense of humour, so he fitted in really well.
He loved his rugby. If he was last into the changing rooms, he'd always be first changed and first out.
Blake enjoyed partying with the rugby boys, but he always watched his pennies. Even while earning just $12.50 an hour, he was a fanatical saver.
Can I say anal? He was anal about it.
He would only pay himself $200 a week, and that's what he'd live off, and the rest would be saved.
And when I was coming home with him, he'd try and make me pay for, fuel.
By the age of 18, Blake had already saved enough to buy a house. But he didn't stop there.
He'd been working 12 months. He'd saved $28,000. That's what he had saved, and he bought the car with it.
Blake's dream car was a metallic blue 1999 Mitsubishi Evo.
It's like a little kid getting a new toy at Christmas time sort of thing.
He's like a grandma in it, though. He wouldn't speed because it would waste fuel, which would waste money. He kept it really clean.
Very proud of his car. Thought it was the shit, I suppose. But so, yeah, the car probably was pretty flash for the area.
One day we came home from our friend's place.
Hey, Ma, watch this.
He just patted the boot and he goes, "Look at this, Mum." And he kissed it, and he said, that's how much he loved that car.
It's hot.
And that's just unbelievable that his life was taken in that car. 'Cause, yeah.
Saturday, June the 10th, 2006, began like any other for 19-year-old Blake Stott. He'd returned home to play rugby and was staying on the farm he planned to one day take over. That day, Blake's parents announced they were planning to renovate the farmhouse for him.
He goes, "Oh, yeah, but why aren't you building me a new house? I don't want this old one." Then Martin gave him a yow to go and help him shift some sheep, and gone. That was the last I had to do with him.
That afternoon I asked him to come and help me shift some sheep, and then I said, "Oh, we'll see you later and have a good game." And that was that. Never seen him again.
Blake usually hitched a lift to rugby with Critter to save on fuel. But he missed his ride that day and was forced to take his own car.
They had a really good game. They'd come pretty close to winning. We don't often win games, but we had a really good game, so it was a bit of a chance for us to have a bit of a celebrate.
The Waka Club always puts on a roast meal after every game, which is quite good. It's about the only club that does that. Everyone else is, you can buy a pie.
Down there.
Blake was up in the club rooms and, I've got to do the dishes because he was on tidy up.
Critter was coming home and he said to Blake, "You're coming home with me now."
I said, "Don't worry about it. Everyone else buggers off if they're going somewhere or doing something." And he said, "Oh, nah, better stay and do them," sort of thing. That's the sort of person he was.
It was the first time Blake had had the chance to show off the Evo to his rugby mates.
Don't be afraid, bro.
And so, when they left the club rooms at 7 p.m, some of them went for a drive.
Threw me the keys, and probably that or I'd probably beat him if I could drive it. Give it a bit of a squirt, put the old foot down a bit, and it had more toe than a Roman sandal.
Blake and his teammates ended up at the Catlins Inn in Owaka.
We got stuck into a few of those, the barmaids they're called. They're the not actual barmaid, it's the big tall beer that you pour the handles yourself. And we were playing a few games with those, if I remember rightly.
Where was the pinky?
Some of the management and some of the other players were talking to Blake about his 21st and getting quite excited about that.
He was organising his 21st, telling the coaches that they'd be coming along. The old man would have to get the gorse out of his pockets because he was paying for it all, and they're going to have a big party on me by the sound of it all.
It was to be the first and last time that the barmaid's drinking game was played at the Catlins Inn.
Hey, Stoddy, there's a bed here if you want it, mate. Yeah, no, I'm sweet.
When the pub closed at 3 a.m, Blake and 4 others walked 50 metres down the road where they continued partying at the flat of a rugby team member. Blake had accepted an offer to stay the night at the flat.
I might go and grab my phone out of the car.
But half an hour after arriving at the flat, Blake went back to his car, which was parked outside the pub.
Blake apparently went to the car, got his phone, and called his cousin.
Blake couldn't get through to his cousin. At 3:59 a.m, he sent him a text saying, "Pissed in Owaka." At 4 a.m, a car's headlights were seen leaving town.
And for some reason, he got in his car and just drove out the road. That's about it.
At 8:17 a.m, the fire brigade were called to a lay-by 3 kilometres south of Orwaka.
Coming across the scene of Blake's car parked here, arrived up, had a look at the scene where the car would have been sitting, just pulled in quietly to the side of the road. The car was completely burnt out, with the remains of the body still inside.
The phone rang and it was a friend of ours, and she rang, she said the road's blocked. There'd been an accident, and she asked, was Blake home? And I said, oh no, don't talk like that. I said, no, he's not home. That's when sort of alarm bells started to ring with us then, and we jumped in the car and drove in.
When we got to the bridge, the fireman used to play rugby with Martin, and he just looked at Martin and he said, it's Blake's car.
He wouldn't let us go down to the car. He said they didn't know whether it was a suicide, a homicide or whatever. He said it wasn't an accident. The car was pulled over onto the side of the road and it had gone on fire.
I looked at my phone and there was like missed calls, and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, well, someone's dead.
It was sort of all like a bit of a dream, I suppose. Until the phone started ringing and a lot of guys were texting in or saying, you know, have you heard?
Talked to Mum and she was eerily calm.
Everyone just shocked. Especially Blake. I mean, he just wasn't a hear-em-scare-em type of person, and nobody expected him to be taken at such a young age.
Next, grief turns to anger as the experts struggle to identify the source of the fiery inferno that claimed Blake's life.
He wouldn't have driven past.
He doesn't smoke, so what would start it?
Doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
Inquiries are continuing on the basis that it appears to be a suspicious death. There are a few concerns that we have in relation to the scene, and we're hoping over the next 2 or 3 days that we can establish exactly what's occurred here.
Fire experts and scientists were never able to determine the exact cause of the fire because Blake's car and body were too badly burned. Investigators suspected an unspecified electrical event caused the blaze. The coroner ruled that Blake had died from carbon monoxide poisoning. He ruled out foul play and the case was closed, much to the distress of Blake's family.
That's bullshit.
Doesn't add up. That's what the hard thing is.
Just for a car to be pulled to the side of the road and go on fire is a very hard thing to work out why.
Yeah. Things like that don't happen every day.
It doesn't add up.
Investigators thought the most likely scenario was that Blake had attempted to drive back to his parents' farm, but when he realised how drunk he was, pulled over into the lay-by for a sleep. But Blake's family can't understand why he would have driven drunk. He always stayed in town when partying and had 3 offers of beds that night.
Hey, Stoddy.
Driving drunk could have cost him his licence and his job.
Well, he's never ever done it before. Why would he do it then?
It was his blimmin' prized possession. He wouldn't have driven past.
I think his intention was to get his cell phone for whatever reason, but something's made him change his mind.
Blake's family begged Balclutha police to reopen the file. A senior detective advised them to seek the help of sensing murder investigator Duncan Holland.
Well, I could see the family were desperate for some more answers. I was quite intrigued that someone in the police had actually put them in touch with us.
Dunedin Area Command ordered Balclutha police not to participate in this program because, as far as police are concerned, Blake's death was a tragic accident. So Duncan Holland and his team of investigators have reviewed all of the evidence presented to the coroner's court.
It's a late model vehicle, and there seems to be no apparent reason why that it would catch fire on its own.
Blake's car was in mint condition. It had been fully serviced and had not been modified. It was fitted with heat shields and all the safety features expected of a high-performance car. Fire investigators were able to eliminate a multitude of possible causes.
An examination of the engine found no evidence that the fire had started from mechanical damage or malfunction. There were no faults found with the turbocharger. Investigators were only able to conduct a limited investigation. It was impossible to tell. No indication that the fire was caused by overheating. So no evidence that Blake had put his foot on the accelerator. There was no accelerant trail on the ground suggesting that accelerant had been poured leading up to the vehicle. The left-hand front passenger window had blown out.
Fire investigators were certain that the fire started inside the car, but they could not be certain how. Forensic scientists from ESR narrowed it down to 3 possible causes.
1, the fire was started by a naked flame, such as a match or a lighter. Blake did not smoke. 2 was that the fire was started by a smouldering or smoking material. Or 3, that the fire was caused by an electrical fault in the dashboard.
One fire investigator suspected the fire may have started in the CD player, which had been fitted 3 weeks earlier. Blake's family dispute this because the stereo was installed by a professional auto electrician. Martin had borrowed the car and had driven it every day the previous week.
I'd used the stereo, when I was driving the vehicle. There was no problems, and he didn't have a chance to touch it. Not that he wanted to, because it was all fitted.
We spoke to the auto electrician who installed the CD player, and he said that the circuits were protected by fuses. He also felt that if there had been a problem, it would have shown itself earlier, just after the player was fitted, and not taken this long to have caused a problem.
What remained of Blake's body was found in the driver's seat, slumped across the centre console. The seat was upright and his seatbelt was fastened.
Blake's body was severely damaged by the fire. It was delivered to the pathologist in 15 separate packages.
They only were able to ID him with the gold tooth that he got when he was 18.
His skull vault and facial bones were demolished. The pathologist found evidence of deep inhalation of soot into Blake's airways. This indicated that he was breathing when the fire started. There was no evidence of any blunt or sharp trauma to vital organs or the chest, and no evidence of any trauma to the back of the head.
Oh, it's heinous. He was 84 k's and they lifted out 31. That's how badly burnt he was. I mean, we didn't get to see him. We couldn't get to see that. So we didn't have a body. We couldn't say goodbye. It's just gone.
Police explored the possibility of foul play, but ruled it out. There was no obvious motive for anyone to intentionally harm Blake.
From the people we've talked to, it seems like it was a pretty cruisy kind of a night. No conflict, arguments, anything like that.
Blake was such an easygoing guy and a friendly guy. He's a real special person. Good-natured, humorous, and a real good all-round guy. And so for somebody to maybe hurt him for some reason, that's the part that everybody's confused about.
Several sets of tyre tracks were found at the scene, along with a cigarette butt from which forensic scientists were able to extract a DNA sample.
3 of the men Blake had been partying with that night were tested against the exhibit, but no matches were found. Police also tested the exhibit against their national DNA database, and again, no matches were found.
That's the thing that eats away at you. Is it an accident? Is it
foul play?
Foul play or what?
He doesn't smoke, so what would start it? And why would it start by itself? Yeah, I've always thought it's suspicious.
Blake's death has ripped apart the lives of his family.
We've just put the farm on the market because it's
too hard.
It is just too hard. You're out there every day. You spend a lot of time by yourself, and you're thinking, what the hell has gone wrong?
You've lost a mate, you've lost something that you can't get back, sort of, yeah.
Everyone said your worst nightmare, and it is. And even worse because we don't really have any answers. Still.
Blake's family has turned to Sensing Murder for help. Next, two psychics will attempt to contact the spirit of Blake to unravel the mystery of his tragic death.
Guy's hypo.
Yeah, I feel like he can't sit still.
He just jumped straight into that, like, oh, goosebumps.
When Blake Stott's late model car burst into flames, a coroner declared that the cause of the blaze would remain a mystery. But Blake's family want answers. They want to know if an electrical fault caused the fire, or if something else, or someone, was to blame. Now two psychics will attempt to contact the spirit of Blake to see if they can uncover the events leading up to his mysterious death. 75 psychics from across New Zealand were tested. A little-known solved murder was chosen for the testing procedure. Presented with only a photograph of the victim, the psychics were asked to produce details of the crime, the location, and the killer. Of the 75 psychics tested, only 3 were able to describe intimate details of the case. 2 of these psychics, Kelvin Cruikshank and Sue Nicholson, have been chosen to investigate Blake's death. Sue has a regular spot on daytime television, offering psychic guidance. She tours New Zealand teaching others how to develop their psychic abilities and is the author of A Call from the Other Side.
My family can only see what I do by watching me on the television, and I've learnt a lot through that. White, blue. Every time I do Sensing Murder, I feel a bit more confident, and this time I feel more confident than the last series.
Kelvin works full-time as a psychic medium. He tours Australasia with a live show, connecting people with their dead loved ones. He is also a magazine columnist.
Sensing Murder's really built my confidence up. I've always had faith, but it was off and on. Now it's just constant.
Under Sensing Murder rules, the psychics are not told any details of the case or the people involved. The psychics are only told their destination at the airport. Each psychic is filmed non-stop in one day. The psychics are kept separate and under constant supervision to prevent them researching the case. Correct statements can be, but are not always, confirmed during the readings.
The facts that they get right are just so out there and so close to home. You're just like, well, that's not just a guess.
One of the police that said, well, it's a mystery and maybe we need some psychic help.
On different days, the psychics begin their readings at a Balclutha motel, half an hour's drive from Owaka. The psychics are each offered a photo of Blake, but choose to keep it face down.
There's lots of information coming in now, so great. Blah, blah, blah. I've got to remember to breathe. Tell me to breathe, would you? Thanks, fellas.
We ready? Yep. Okay, while we were talking, I've got someone coming in here, and a bit of a character. I get a male figure here. He's quite a character. He's just...
Where do you begin? I know I have to go to a younger person.
He's a nice boy. Nice personality, really helpful person. And he was really popular.
Cheeky smile. Gorgeous smile, actually. Well, I want to use the word handsome. So it could be a nice bloke that I'm looking at, to be totally honest.
He just said, what are you going to write? I said, I don't know yet, because I've got to ask you. OK, so, I feel like he was training or taking apprenticeship.
Blake was doing an apprenticeship with Fulton Hogan.
I feel like he was in a labouring or a job that money was very important to him.
I look at his bank account and it's quite healthy. And that's because of hard work. He never got hand-me-downs. He had to work. His dad and his mum taught him to work.
He did like expensive things. He liked looking good and other people going, oh, God, wow, look what you've got. And I think that was to do with his car as well, because I feel like, wow, look at that car. You know what? There's a lot of people who are jealous about my car. I feel like, like, look what he's got. But he worked hard, and it's not like it was handed to him on a plate. He worked hard, but there's something about his car that's not just the ordinary car. It's like, whoa, that you see it go down the street, you know it was him.
Love my car. It's like he's married to his car.
Oh, polished that car.
Polishing it, cleaning it.
You know that drifting? You know how the people do their drifting on the cars? He's going, oh no, the rubber's too expensive.
I know this sounds funny, but this is what he's saying, rather than a girlfriend.
It's like he's smooching up to it. He's really besotted with his car. It looks like black, but it's actually probably deep blue. And I can see myself in it. I'm like, wow, he's so looked after this car.
Blake's one true love was his deep blue Mitsubishi Evo.
That music's very loud.
You could hear him coming. If he was coming home in his car, boom, 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 boom. Stereo's so flipping loud. It's like, turn it down, man. It's going, nah, mate, crank it.
It's not the type of music I would listen to, and he's laughing.
When he drove home from the farm, Blake's family always heard him before they saw him.
He's super fit because he's going like this. So he may have gone to the gym because he's going, hey, man, look at my arms. He's like, you know, doing the puppy thing, you know, look at my puppies. Oh, got him, mate, ease up on it. He's a little bit vain, this guy. Man.
He was really vain.
Just one step at a time. He's jumping around. Guy's hypo.
He can't sit still. I feel like he can't sit still.
Swan dries, Swanee, boots, river, hut. Mate, I got you. Now he's going on about his hunting and stuff, right? So let's just follow his lead. So stags and pigs and put me out in the bush.
Hunting was one of Blake's great passions, along with fishing.
I like my fishing, so he wants me to go to a trout stream and go hardcore for a brownie, mate. Go for a brownie.
Tell me about your family. Were you... So you're close-knit? You have a sister?
He's trying to get the word sister to me.
My little sister, he calls her.
Younger.
He's given me 3 years younger.
Oi!
He's giving a stick.
I'm seeing her getting very angry with him. And arguments. But he said I still loved her.
The psychics are correct. Blake's sister Libby was 3 years younger, and although they bickered, they were extremely close.
You've lost a mate, you know?
It's important to say hi to sis. And...
So tell me what your dad did. Okay. Greenery, land, outside. I see field, I see dust, I see dirt. So I feel like I'm working on the land. I see farmer or something. And tractors.
Might have even worked on a farm at some point because he's driving a tractor now. And you know, those tractors, man, you can thrash them because he's like, giving that stick too. It's like he doesn't do anything slow. He's full noise all the time. And now he's showing me the deer thing, so I'm going right back into the hunting, and the deer are really significant and have to feed them and all sorts of... I don't know what he's going on about, so there could be a deer farm connection.
Blake's family owned a cattle and deer farm.
Loved being outside, loved helping his dad.
Me and my dad, best mates, and I love my dad to bits, and I'm sorry, Dad, but...
I couldn't... He's getting upset. Why are you getting upset?
Can't come home, Dad. I love you, Dad. He's making me upset.
Oh, sorry, he's getting really upset, and I'm just feeling his tears. I'm just feeling his tears. Why are you getting upset? He said, because I feel like I've let my mum and dad down. I feel like they had so many plans for me.
Blake's mum and dad hoped that he would be the fourth generation to run the family farm. The psychics still haven't looked at Blake's photo. They ask his spirit to give them a clearer vision of his appearance.
He's not a short person. He looks about 5'11".
He's going like this, so he must be quite tall. He's putting me up. He's not quite as tall as me, so he's close to the 6 foot mark.
Blake was close to 6 foot.
He keeps going 19. I don't think he's 19, but he's saying 19, mate, 19. 19. Okay, so he might have been 19. 19. Okay, he did the first 20 times.
When you look at him, he looks a bit older. He would look about 22. But he said, I never made my 20s. I was 19.
Blake was 19 when he died.
He's white, Pacquiao. He's Pacquiao, he's not Maori. He has very dark brown hair.
It's kind of freaky. I'm like looking at myself here. It's really weird.
The spirit of Blake is resisting showing Kelvin his face.
It's one of those days. Oh, see, he's jumped again. Identification of me was really difficult. He just jumped straight into that, like, oh, goosebumps. IDing me was really hard. I'm not looking like this anymore. I don't like those pictures, actually. It's all right. I'll get over it. I can't describe his face. This is... I don't know the word. I do not understand what this means. So whether his flesh has come away from him, he's pulling his... God, that's just terrible. I've never experienced this, guys, so this is a new one. Shit. How do you describe that? It's like I'm melting. It's like acid. Everything's falling off me. I don't understand this. There must be a fire somewhere. It sounds like this guy's been burnt.
Blake's body was almost entirely consumed by the fire. He was identified only by his gold tooth. Next, the psychics asked the spirit of Blake to take them back to the night of his death.
Hear the water splash, splash. This is lovely.
He's telling me 3 people know about this.
Blake Stott was handsome, popular and hardworking. He had everything going for him. But in June 2006, all his dreams and promise went up in smoke. Psychic Sue Nicholson and Kelvin Cruikshank will now ask Blake's spirit to tell them how and why he died.
He's just a bit of a comedy, like drinking, partying, girls.
He's a prankster, for sure. He's doing things to people like when they're standing up on a seat at a somewhere. He's like grab their shorts. People do that just to antagonise. Good word, antagoniser. Done in a loving way. He's not a bad person, and this is where he's making me feel as if my death was an element of total surprise. And there's a question mark over why.
There's just so many question marks over his death. Was it this? Was it that? Was it this? 1, 2, 3. He's telling me 3 people know about this. 3 people know what really happened to me.
He's Mr. Popular. He's got friends everywhere. He just likes to have fun, and he likes to work hard too, because he's making me feel as if, man, all I did was work, but when I played, I played.
Oh, yeah.
Kicking me a goal, so he might have enjoyed his footy as well, or his rugby. He's got golden boots, so that's an indication to playing quite a lot of football.
I'm seeing a team of people in a line, like, you know when you take your photograph and you've got the back line and the front line. I feel like that's been taken in a hall or something. I'm seeing striped shirts or something. I'm seeing white collar. Because all of a sudden I'm with this group of blokes and I'm like this, all pushed into the middle.
Blake played for the All Waka rugby team. His last game was on the afternoon before he died. The psychics asked Blake's spirit to take them back to that day.
I feel like either they played sport, because I feel like, let's go and have a drink now. Let's go and celebrate, because I feel like, this... Like, yeah.
Thank you.
There's a car. Is that your car? There's other people in this car. He's not alone in this car. There's other people. Counting 3. Like there's 3 people in the back here. There's a girl in this car.
There was a girl in the back seat of the Evo when Blake let his mates take it for a spin.
Puts me in the pub now. Huh. Go to the pub. I'm at the pub. Having a beer.
Liked a beer. She's showing me a beer. She's doing a bit much of that sometimes.
Piggy!
Lots of noise, lots of partying all around. That's why my eyes going like I can't see properly.
Right there, Blakey, you up for a biggie, eh?
My eyes are going blurred. I can't see. Is he drunk?
Put a bit of alcohol in him. He's had quite a few drinks. He's pretty pissed.
I feel like I'm seeing her house. people in here. You knew the people, yes, I know the people. He's standing outside.
Probably last thing going to the loo. I just got to go and lie down. That's the feeling that I've got to lie down.
The psychics have picked up that Blake was partying at a pub and a flat on the night of his death.
I know if I stay here, my car might get hurt. I'll move my car. So he's obviously moved his car from A to B. He may have driven a couple of 100 k's down the road, or a couple of 100 metres, or a couple of k's down the road, for all I know. A couple of k's to a secluded car park, for all I know, just so that it didn't get caught, just parked up out of the way, sweet as. Man, if I park my car down here, no one will know I'm here, and no one can hassle my car. I'll be safe.
Kelvin may have answered one of the family's biggest questions: why Blake drove drunk. Blake's car was parked outside the pub. He may have driven it to the lay-by 3 kilometres out of town to keep it safe.
I feel like I'm driving out to be wide water.
It's parked up. I can see the sand, and it looks like I'm looking at a freshwater lake, and my vehicle's right in front of it. Are you on gravel? So gravel underneath his wheels.
Blake did park up in a gravel lay-by next to a tidal estuary. The locals refer to it as Lake Catlins.
The theory of it would be, oh, I'm lying on my back, sound asleep, but I'm twisted somehow. So the seat, I'm slumped this way, and I'm actually over the centre console.
Kelvin is correct. Blake's body was found slumped over the centre console.
You hear the water splash, splash. Oh, this is lovely.
I feel like I'm going to sleep. You know, when you had a drink or a bit too much to drink and you doze off. I feel like pressure in my chest. It's weird because I feel like my lungs or something's happening in my chest because I feel compression on both sides of my chest now. Breathing something or inhaling something in. What the hell are you breathing it in? Toxic, it's just so toxic. Oh, my throat. Burning. Oh my God, like grey smoke. I can't even see properly. Can't see. Hold on. Fire. Got it, okay. It's very hot. It's like inferno. Oh, I don't know, I feel like the glass broke. I just heard glass, I just heard it smash. It's like...
For a room that's cold, it's damn hot in here, isn't it?
Oh. My head. I've got the most thumping headache. Oh, taste in my mouth. Oh. Okay, I'm just ready. Someone done this on purpose.
The Sensing Murder psychics haven't even seen a photo of Blake's dot, and yet they've managed to describe in detail not only his background and personality, but also how he died. Now they will attempt to identify the cause of the car fire that claimed Blake's life.
There's nothing with this car that you could say that caused this to happen. He's telling me it's not an accident.
The sound of another vehicle approaching.
Oh, mate.
I hear 2 voices, so there's 2 people in it. Who does this guy think he is? I can hear them talking about it.
Someone was standing there. I also feel like someone's laughing, like it's funny. It's weird.
2 assailants. One says no, one says yes. Did they know he was in the car? Yeah. One says no, the other says just do it. How did it catch? How did it go like this? Oh, that's a new one too. I'm asking him, what does this mean? Because this is a new thing for Calv, you know? that indicates a lighter to me. So there's nothing wrong with my car, so his car didn't cause the fire.
I feel like something's been chucked in the car, or something's been either thrown or chucked in that car.
Oh, my car. Shit, man, my car. And I'm giggling because he's going, oh no, my car, mate. He's more worried about his car. And his personality comes back where I'm feeling like I'm coming back to a little bit more normal because we got through the hard part.
The psychics have confirmed the suspicions of Blake's family, that someone else was involved in his death. Now Sue turns her attention to Blake's photo.
This picture's taken in a house. Looks like a browny, orangey background. I only can see the top part of him, and I'll go in, turn you over. No, here he is. Oh, it's brown-orange background.
Kelvin asks Blake's spirit to describe the person who started the fire.
That's an indication to a cigarette, so it'll be really interesting to see if there's any evidential stuff at the crime scene. We'll have to research that one. Big guy too, this person. Not little, big. Buff head. Did I say that out loud? Oops. Buff head, you know. Set of tyres next to his. Marks on the road, that'll be about the only evidence that I could possibly look at.
Sue asks for a map of the wider area to see if she can locate the lay-by where Blake died.
So, what's that, an inlet? That's water that leads out to the sea. It's just got lakeside.
Sue has pointed to the spot where Blake's car was found. On different days, the psychics are driven towards Owaka. On the journey, Kelvin looks at Blake's photo for the first time.
The person who he's talking about is considered to be quite popular, well-known, Parkia guy. A person who was less off or couldn't see the fact that how come he's got all these good things and I haven't. The locals, they just haven't been caught.
Police, it's like they just haven't got a clue.
As the psychics pass through Owaka Township, Kelvin asks to stop outside the local police station.
So the copper and the footballer, the coach, the cop's the coach.
The local policeman was the coach of Blake's rugby team. He had been partying with Blake and the team earlier that night.
He's singing me 10 guitars. 10 guitars, I sing them for you. It's past theirs.
The psychics have already identified that Blake was parked up next to a lake. Now they are challenged to locate the exact spot.
Okay, what I'm looking for is a off-site park, gravel close to the lake where you can get out and walk just across into the waterfront.
I keep wanting to go. I just keep being pulled to go by that lake.
What I'd be looking for is a place like this on my left here, which will be significant of just an off-street park. Or, oh, look at the lake.
Oh, okay.
Joshua Lake.
Kelvin and Sue are only 200 metres from the lakeside lay-by where Blake died.
All right. So, can you just...
Flicker in there, Mike.
Can you just stop a minute? Like it's here.
Both psychics have stopped at the correct place. But to be certain, Kelvin asks to drive further south.
There, I can see where I'm going. That's where I could park a car. That's probably where his car was parked. That's where he died. Can you go back there? Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, he might have just stopped here actually because I'm going to throw up now.
I start to feel sick around this area here.
Both Sue and Calvin are from New Zealand's North Island. Neither has ever visited the Catlins area, and yet, guided only by the spirit of Blake, they have located the exact spot where he died. Next, the psychics are forced to confront the gruesome reality of Blake's tragic death.
I keep getting a...
On different days, psychic Sue Nicholson and Calvin Cruikshank are at the lay-by where Blake Stott's car caught fire in 2006.
From this way to that way.
Shouldn't have been drinking and driving. Parks it here. You upset, mate? Nah, just pissed.
You know, I feel like he's going to sleep at the wheel. You know, when you're driving and you're going... He didn't want to smash his car that was his pride and joy, and he thought we'd just pull over here. He's by himself in that car with the keys still in the ignition.
Sue is correct. The keys were in the ignition.
See, I've just asked him, did you leave the motor running? No, I did not. Because I said, well, maybe it caught on fire by itself. He goes, nah.
Where did the fire start? Keep saying to me it started inside the car, not outside the car.
Again, Sue is right. Forensic evidence shows the fire started inside the car.
You've got to tell me how it started in the car. Come on, just try a bit harder there, okay?
Look here, look. How did it start? Only, that's your backs, that's your fronts. Come on. There's the white vehicle that pulls up over here on the gravel, because the gravel sound. Tyre marks, but at the time they should have looked into that. Oh, four-wheel drive, white.
But Sue's visions are of a different vehicle.
The car I see is an older type of car, rust on it. There's some rust on round by the boot. It's like a grey, but it looks like bluey grey colour. There's two males. Because I feel like there's, I feel like there's a man standing out by the driver's side looking in. To me, he looks about 22.
He's relatively as tall as what I am.
About this tall.
He's white.
He's white, he's not, he's Pacquiao.
He's giving me the big local.
Can't really see the second person, but quite stocky build. They're both white, they're not dark, they're both white. Something's thrown in.
Oof.
I feel like something's been thrown in the car. The windows are not open though. Door, open the door. Back door.
Look, this part, the back passenger corner, this, for some stupid reason, that's something about that stands out.
What do we do? We've got to scare the shit out of him.
It's like somebody's done this to frighten him or as a joke and going, yeah, you know, just do that. That will wake him up. I don't feel they meant to kill him. I'll burn your seats or I'll burn your nice car inside or... Then I see them leave. It's smouldering. And then it starts to ignite. And then I'm feeling it getting bigger. And then... Because I feel it go...
Did they light the fire perhaps just to frighten them? Yeah, maybe. We all know that when you light something, it's not going to go out with Mr. Fireman here, especially a vehicle.
Before leaving the lay-by, Sue asks Blake's spirit to tell her how long ago this tragedy happened.
It's 2006. Let me see if I can get the month. I'm going to go up in the middle. Or in the middle somewhere, because it's cold. because he just went, I said, my birthday's July, and he went back a bit. OK, June, because it's cold, it's not summer.
Blake died on the 11th of June 2006. Now the psychics are taken to see all that remains of that night.
Oh, just freezing. Look at my arm. I'm...
Oh, check that out. Okay. So that's blue, isn't it? It's going.
He's in shock and he's angry. He's really angry.
Someone's done this for a joke about silly little boys. So concentrating on the perpetrator. He knew him. He probably played footy with him.
I feel like these people have been to a party or something.
Saturday night after a game of football, plenty of people around, regardless whether they're in the pub or down the road at a party.
I'm not getting a huge lot of people or a big party. I'm just getting like round 6, 8 people there, and they're drinking, smoking, and it's like that energy of let's do something stupid. I even see erratic driving. So like when he was coming past it, he was really high on something, or like yeah. I keep getting I don't know. They call him a short name. 22, around that age, maybe 23, but 22, 23.
Same age as him, in and around that area. Smart-ass gag, blah, blah, ha, ha, he's pissed, he's fallen over, he's parked his car.
So the person who done this, he was the driver, not the passenger. I see the passenger standing back. He's laughing, but not really realising what he's going to do. He's got a black jumper on, like a black knitted round neck. I can see that. I feel like he's had to get away or go away because of... Where's he gone? It's like totally move away, change things, let it go.
There's an entry point, and it keeps taking me to here.
There's something, because I feel the energy come... Something's come from this side of it, through that way.
They've got, let's pop the thing, let's do that. No, that's too bad. Let's not do that. Something on the back seat.
They've opened the door and chucked, because I feel like I've gone like that, and it's in between here.
Like, what'd you do that for?
But I can hear him say, shit,
Don't worry about it, we'll go out.
You do that for me, he says, it'll be all right, it doesn't matter, It will go out.
For all we know, it could have even been a cigarette butt that started the whole bloody thing. Something on the back seat, or in this general area.
It's gone at that angle.
He is unconscious or not consciously aware of the fire. He's not coherent when it expands into a massive fire. That's why he said swift.
They didn't realise the intensity of that heat and that fire. They were absolutely shocked when they saw it or heard about it on the news and in the paper. It was like, shit. And they have to live with that they took somebody's life.
If it's a prank, then it's come off really bad, hasn't it? And those little shits need to fess up, because quite frankly, this boy can't come home. Those people can go home to their mums and their dads and their brothers and their sisters. This boy can't. It's slightly unfair, don't you think? Hello? What part of fess up don't you understand?
Next, a team of investigators follow up the psychic's leads, providing fresh information that could encourage police to review the Blake Stott inquiry.
Did you know them? Yes.
22, 23.
2 local men matched the psychic's profiles.
A team of fire experts and arson investigators were unable to determine the exact cause of the fire that claimed the life of Blake Stott. However, police believe it was accidental.
We don't actually know really how it happened, so let's just shelve it. Bullshit.
Blake Stott's file is officially closed. By communicating with the spirit of Blake, psychics Sue Nicholson and Kelvin Cruikshank have come up with a totally different scenario that could explain how the fire started.
He keeps saying to me, this is not an accident.
Duncan Holland and his team of investigators are former detectives who have used conventional methods to research the psychic's findings. Their aim? To produce cold, hard facts.
My team has investigated the psychic's leads, and we believe the new scenario presented by the psychics warrants the police investigating the Blake Stott inquiry further.
It's like somebody's done this to frighten him or as a joke and going, yeah, you know, just do that. That will wake him up.
Prank? Possibly. Just a joke, but didn't pay off very well. Now, good at it. Cost them his life.
Both psychics thought that Blake's death was the result of a practical joke gone wrong. After Blake died, there were whispers of this theory.
If it was a practical joke that went wrong, we don't know, no one knows.
They know what really happened. They're not saying anything.
They just haven't been caught because the cops just shelved me.
Interestingly, the practical joke theory was also conveyed to Blake's mother, Adrian, in an unsolicited message from a local psychic.
She actually sent a message to us the weekend after Blake died that it was a practical joke go wrong. I mentioned it to the police, but, you know.
Forensic tests established that the fire definitely started inside the car. Both psychics described this and then took it further.
They've opened the door and chucked.
Starting something on the back seat.
And it's in between here.
We consulted a series of fire experts who confirmed that the blaze could have started from a burning object.
Could have even been a cigarette butt.
Even something as small as a cigarette being thrown into the car.
2 assailants.
There's 2 males.
One says no, one says yes.
The person who done this, he was the driver, not the passenger.
One says no, the other says just do it.
Both psychics felt that 2 men were involved in a practical joke that led to Blake's death. An instigator and an accomplice.
They're not outsiders, they're local.
I don't see them dark-skinned, especially the one who done this. I see Parkia.
Did you know them? Yes. Something to do with the football as well now.
Our investigations have identified 2 local men who match the psychics' profiles. They knew Blake through rugby and saw him that night.
Saturday night after a game of football, plenty of people around, regardless whether they're in the pub or down the road at a party. So concentrating on the perpetrator. He knew him. Probably played footy with him.
You know him, yes, I know him.
Local.
He's around this area. He's not too far away.
It's considered to be quite popular. Parkia guy.
22, 23.
Big guy too, this person. Buffhead.
Relatively as tall as what I am.
That is tall.
Buffhead.
I keep getting a...
He's giving me the big...
They call him a short name.
The man that matches the psychic's description of the instigator had a reputation for being an over-the-top prankster when drunk. Our research has uncovered several examples where his impulsive pranks resulted in damage to the property of people he knew.
But that build, quite stocky build, he's got a black jumper on, like a black knitted. I feel like he's had to get away or go away. It's like totally move away, change things, let it go.
The man who matches the psychic's description of the accomplice has left the area.
I feel like these people have been to a party or something. He was really high on something, or, you know, like, yeah, like that energy of let's do something stupid.
The 2 men who matched the psychic's descriptions did not sleep at all on the night Blake died. These 2 men were alone together and in the area during the period in which the fire started.
They were absolutely shocked when they saw it or heard about it on the news and in the paper. It was like, shit.
Our investigations have revealed that the men who matched the psychic's descriptions were particularly devastated by Blake's death. The psychics honed in on the vehicles connected with the 2 men.
Oh, 4-wheel drive, white.
On the night that Blake died, one of the men described by the psychics was driving a white 4-wheel drive.
The car I see is an older type of car, rust on it. It's like a grey, but it looks like bluey grey colour.
The other man described by the psychics owned a rusty old blue and grey car.
tyre marks. At the time, they should have looked into that.
Police took casts of several sets of tyre marks found in the lay-by. They tested them against Blake's car and found they were different. However, sources have revealed that police did not test them against any other vehicles.
That's an indication to cigarettes, so it'll be really interesting to see if there's any evidential stuff at the crime scene. We'll have to research that one.
There was a cigarette butt found at the scene. It was DNA tested against one of the men described by the psychics. It did not match. However, it was not DNA tested against the other man who was also a smoker.
No disrespect, but I don't think enough people were questioned it hard enough.
The police down here need to wake up and start re-looking at this. They need to open it up again and go forward.
The psychics provided much more specific detail about this case that for legal reasons could not be included in this program. We will be presenting the psychics' findings to police in the hope that they will review the Blake Stott case.
It's telling me 3 people know about this. 3 people know what really happened to me.
In an incident like this, the accomplice usually finds that it is difficult to carry such a secret. It is highly likely that this person confided in someone else. If you are that person, or if you have any information about this case, please call me on 0274 57 886.
Perhaps there's someone out there with some information or something.
When this actually goes to air, it'll put more pressure on those people because they know who they are. Oh, guess what? Guilt.
And I have to live with that they took somebody's life.
If you have any information about the psychics' findings, please log on to tvnz.co.nz and enter the keyword sensing.
A week after Blake died, 1,500 people gathered to say farewell.
He's going on and talking about his funeral, memorial. A lot of people, he just said it was huge. There were so many people. He said, I didn't realise how many people I knew. And beautiful service.
We treated it not so much as a funeral as sort of his 21st, really. We had a lot of the, a lot of his pictures of Blake and his gear, and all his friends were there.
21st. His birthday. Something to do about celebrating his birthday.
Run it as though it might have been his 21st because it was sort of going to be the last party for him, so. And it was good too, it was good. Bloody hard to keep your head around.
He wants to say to both of them, basically, his mum and his dad, that they were good parents. They were really good.
He never caused us any problems. We never had any family arguments or anything like that. He was just, bloody good kid.
I'm only here for now. I'm always with me mum. And his mum needs to know that.
And he just says, I can hear you and I give you my love and I love you very much.
He's really sick of being shelved. I don't want to be shelved anymore. My family has a right to know what took place.